I wanted to talk about how I handle test corrections in my classroom, and how you'll be doing test corrections slash retakes this whole school year. So after every test, you have the option of doing test corrections and retaking the test to earn yourself a higher grade. This is a multi-step process, and you will be given 1 week to complete everything you need to do in order to raise your grade. The first step after getting your test back will be to finish this test correction worksheet. So as you can see, this worksheet is to be completed and attached to the front of your test and then turned back in before retaking your test. So yes, I do make you retake your test. So I do think retaking your test proves that you have learned the material that you initially missed and have mastered it now, if obviously if you get it correct. This worksheet is kind of like almost like the punishment or the work you need to do in order to retake the test. So not really a punishment, but just the work that's required before retaking the test. So you do need to complete this whole thing. So each column needs to be completed to be considered for credit. Your explanation of the correct answer is not just restating the answer. It is demonstrating that you understand the answer's meaning and why it was the correct option. IDK is not an acceptable explanation. So for anyone who has completed this test corrections and retaking the test, you're guaranteed 10% higher grade or whatever grade you earn on the retake. So what does that mean? So it means if you took the test last week and you ended up with a 75, which by the way, is a decent grade. There's nothing wrong with getting a 75. But if you go through and do these test corrections, I guarantee you that 75 is going to an 85. That's the guaranteed 10% higher part. So whatever you get, if you do the work and do the retakes, you get 10 points higher. Or if because you do this worksheet and you get help from me or Mr. D and you understand the material better, if when you go and you take that retake, you end up with a higher grade, like let's say you originally got a 75, you do the test correction worksheet, you do the retake, and you end up with a 95 on the second test, then yeah, I'll put that 95 in the grade book. I'll pretend the 75 never even existed. Again, if you don't get that 95, let's say you only end up with a 78, a couple points higher than your original grade, I will still give you the 10% higher grade. So no matter what, you always get 10 points. So even those people who got a 92, if you want to go through and you want to do the test correction worksheet, retake the test, I will give you 102. Again, it doesn't matter what you get on the retake. So let's say you got a 92, but on your retake, you got that 88. You got one more question wrong on your retake. I'll still give you the 10 points higher because you did the work. So you originally got a 92, you did the work, you did the retake, and you ended up with an 88. I'll still give you 102 in the grade book just for doing the work. So I do think it is beneficial for everyone to do the test correction worksheets. I ended up playing around with somebody's grade, and they originally got a 68 on the chapter 1 test. I put in an 88, like they had done the corrections and got the 10 points higher, and their final average ended up going up 6 points. So I do think it's worthwhile. Somebody else asked me, do you think I should do test corrections? And I told him, I think everybody should do test corrections. 10 points higher is going to look real good in the grade book. If you were my own kid, I would absolutely tell you there's nothing wrong with that 75, but an 85 looks better in the grade book. It won't kill you to do the extra work. I do think it's beneficial for everybody to do the test corrections. So now we're going to go over the test, and anyone who has any questions about how they did on the test, you can ask me. But like I was saying, you do have a week to get those test corrections done. So for the chapter 1 test, everybody has to have their test corrections and retakes in by Monday, September 30th. If you know for some reason that you can't get it done by Monday, but you could by Tuesday, just let me know and we can find some time on Tuesday for you to take it. But don't tell me on Monday. that you want to do that. That's obviously a little not good planning on your part. But if you already know you're not available to do your retakes, let me know. We'll figure it out. But since there's no more questions about chapter 1 and the test, we're going to get started on chapter 2. I'm not sure how many of these vocab words we're going to get through today, but we're going to start with the Earth's shape. I am going to ask you to go ahead and we're going to cross off we're going to cross off this part right here. We're not going to go through the evidence for this. I don't think we need to do that anymore. So let's start with the Earth's shape. Oops. Sorry, I need to open up the right PowerPoint. So Earth's dimension is the title of chapter 2. So if I had asked you what are the dimensions of this room, you might start talking about how big each wall was. And by looking at the dimensions, you'd be able to figure out, well, is my room a square? Is my room a rectangle? Is my room a triangle? All those things. So that's what we're going to be talking about with Earth's dimensions. We're going to be talking about how we measure Earth, how we find locations on Earth, and obviously what shape the Earth is. So my guess is most of you think the Earth is a sphere, and I will tell you, you have been lied to your entire lives. The Earth is not a sphere. It is an oblate spheroid. So you do just need to copy in this first bullet here. The rest is just here for me to remember to talk about it. So we're going to start with Earth is officially called an oblate spheroid. What's that mean? It's just a sphere with a slightly bulging middle. If you want to think about it as taking a ball and holding your hands at the bottom and the top and squeezing them together, when you do that, you're going to make the ball a little bit shorter, but it's going to start to bulge in the middle, making the ball a little bit shorter than it is wide. And that's exactly what the Earth is. The Earth is actually 13 miles larger at the equator than it is from the North to the South Pole. So it's not very much. In fact, if you were to look at this, 13 miles is only from here to about Springville. So 13 miles is not very far when you're talking about the entire Earth. So if you were just to do this and try and look at it, the Earth is going to look like a perfect sphere. But if you were to get a measuring tape and go around the equator, you would see that the Earth was a little bit bigger than if you were to take that same measuring tape and go around the Earth from North Pole to South Pole. Why this happens is actually due to the rotation of the Earth. So if you think about, if you've ever seen somebody make pizza, they start with a ball of dough, kind of in a circle shape, in a sphere shape. And then when they spin it, it turns into that flat but round pizza shape. And that's exactly what the Earth is doing. The only difference is the Earth is not made of pizza dough. So we're not going to end up flat like pizza. But if we were made out of pizza dough, we would. It's the same concept. So the Earth is just getting a little bit shorter than it is wide due to the Earth's rotation. We do have to do a couple vocab words. Hopefully you've heard a few of these before. So we're going to be talking about the lithosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere. If you haven't heard of either one of those before, or any of those before, no worries, we're going to talk about them right now. So we're going to start with the lithosphere. The lithosphere is any solid part of the Earth. This does include the crust, so hopefully that word sounds familiar. That's the very top of the Earth. The upper mantle, which is the layer below the crust. This does include bedrock. So those of you who are thinking of Minecraft, bedrock is a thing, and it's just like it is on Minecraft. You got to dig through the dirt, you got to dig through the gravel, and then all of a sudden you reach solid rock underneath all that. That's bedrock. The continents are obviously solids. And then don't forget about the ocean floor. Underneath all that liquid water is a solid layer of Earth, and that is still part of the lithosphere. The hydrosphere might sound more familiar. Hydrosphere, like fire hydrant, or saying hydrated, or your hydro flasks. That's for all the water on the earth. It does include the obvious things like lakes, ocean, and rivers, but don't forget about groundwater too. So water that is stored underground that we collect from wells, that's still part of the hydrosphere. You don't really need to memorize this last bullet. It's kind of just there so you're aware that approximately 75% of the earth is covered with water. And then finally, the atmosphere. This one should sound familiar. There are two bullets here or two separate vocab words for the atmosphere. You do need to get everything in on this next slide. So the atmosphere is the shell of gases that surrounds the earth. You probably already knew that part. So your heads right now are currently in the atmosphere. We're in a shell of gases. What you might not know about the atmosphere is it is divided into layers, and these layers are based on composition and temperature. We will get into these layers a little bit more detail in the next few weeks. One of those layers, though, is the troposphere. This is the layer of the atmosphere that is closest to Earth's surface. So it's literally right now, our heads are in the troposphere. It is considered the most important layer. It contains all the elements necessary for life. So this is where we'll find most of the oxygen we need to breathe and even the water vapor that we need for life on Earth as we know it. So that's all we're going to do for today. I do need tomorrow we are going to go into details about the lithosphere, atmosphere, and hydrosphere, and you will absolutely need your reference table for class and your homework tomorrow. Other than that, have a good day.